Welcome to the Marketing for Business podcast. This is your host, Scott Wilson. Mike James, welcome to the Marketing for Business podcast.
Thanks, Scott. Great to be here.
Mate, it's look, I'm excited by this interview. I know you've got some really good stories to tell. One thing I love about you, Mike, is you're a very positive, happy person, but a very savvy business person as well. You look after the franchise network. You've got how many franchises in the NOVUS network now?
Network of around 62, 63, mostly franchise, some agents in the smaller areas. And some of those agents have transitioned into becoming franchisees. So testament to the brand and the company.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to talk about a couple of things. Obviously, you want to talk about the business side of things. I want to talk about marketing, the mindset. Let's get into the business first, because as a company, NOVUS has grown over the years, but it all started, it's very much a New Zealand owned and operated, very family focused. Where did it all start for you guys?
Well, it started back in 1978. My parents, Dennis and Pat, I'm one of six. My brother and Tim and I run the company now, but back then it was Mum and Dad. They went off to Minneapolis where NOVUS began. NOVUS invented windscreen repair. They flew off in the days where families would go to the airport, see them off on the big plane.
And they came back them.
Came back a week later with a suitcase full of stuff we had no idea about, and some pamphlets on how to use it.
So was your dad looking for an opportunity? Where did he see the opportunity for this, or was he?
He was an abrasives rep, so 3M Norton company. Selling to panel beaters and anyone that used grit, companies, sellotape. And then NOVUS were looking for someone in New Zealand. They knew some of the Norton reps in Australia and asked them. They said, I dealt with this chap 10 years ago in New Zealand. Look him up. So we got a phone call. Would you be interested? And he said, I've got 6 kids to feed.
I'm always looking for opportunities. So did he pay to go there himself? Do you know that?
Wow. They
cool.
paid to go. They came back. It was very much a ma and pa business, as the Americans called them back then. Dad starting. Mum always did the accounts. They were always spread all over the floor. We would fold them, put them in envelopes. Stuff like that.
That's awesome.
I started in 1984 full time, and brother Tim started in about 85, 86.
Wow.
We were purely mobile. We had our own cars. We didn't get fuel paid for us. We roamed the city repairing windscreens.
And how did you do that in the day? Like, how was the marketing going there? Obviously, your dad's has set up, was it a franchise that he owned or a license to operate?
It was a license to operate back then. Essentially, it was similar to franchising, but it wasn't called franchising. So we were the only ones in New Zealand. We just went wherever we could find windscreens.
And were you mainly doing chip repairs then, or replacement?
Only chip repairs.
Only chip repairs.
Because
that was the technology that NOVUS had, right?
That's right. So NOVUS still have their own chemist, a resin chemist.
Wow.
There's 3 or 4 renowned resin chemists in the States. And Penny has been working for NOVUS for a long, long time.
Wow.
So we can ring, we can ask what we're trying to achieve, the properties of the resins, and actually get inside the product and
cool.
know what we're trying to do and how to do it.
So you and your brother, vans or cars, and you're going around Christchurch looking for jobs?
Yes.
So how would you park up somewhere and go, hey, this looks like a...
To the extent where during the winter, where most of the car dealers and rentals are outside, we would go around from 4 o'clock onwards and put stickers, what we call saver patches, over chips on car yards, and then we'd go back in the morning and scrape the ice off. So we had jobs to go to at 8 and 9 o'clock in the morning. So pretty basic. No one knew the name, NOVUS. No. It's a Latin name meaning new or innovative.
Cool.
So people said, there was no brand.
Yeah, look at it today and you talk about Novus and people straight away, they go, oh yeah, show us your crack.
Yep.
And that brand has grown and grown and grown. And I guess, more people, like from a digital perspective, we market very heavily into all these, local areas and stuff. But at that time, it was just do what you got to do, right?
Absolutely.
And how did you charge? Like, how was the way of doing business? Like, was it?
Well, put it this way: in 1986, a Subaru Leone windscreen was $1,500. So we were charging 64 for the first chip, 94 if there was two.
Yeah. So very much so, people, hey, well, let's fix this. Like it was we've got a chip and we want to get it fixed because we don't want to spend $1,500.
Yeah. And that was a cheap windscreen back then.
Wow.
So prices were horrendous. They've come down a lot since then.
So the demand then would have just grown and grown and grown because obviously no one else is doing it, right?
No one else was doing it.
And did word of mouth spread, like obviously car yards and rental cars and stuff like that?
Yep, we did. But again, we had to go and see them and convince them.
Yep.
And convince insurance companies.
Was it a very much a show them kind of product, demonstrate the credibility side of things?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We did demos for insurance companies and national clients. And again, for the car yards and the rentals, it was a huge saving.
Yeah.
Time and obviously a lot of money because windscreens were very expensive. But up until 1986, there weren't a lot of laminated windscreens.
Yeah.
So it's only the laminated windscreens we can fix. The glass you have in your side windows is called toughened, and that's what a lot of the front windscreens were. So it was really only the American cars prior to 1986 that had laminated windscreens. So small market.
Yeah.
But it's just steadily grown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so how did you evolve the business? Obviously you got you and your brother. Is your dad still doing stuff? Like, is he still in the business?
No, Dad passed away a few years ago.
Yeah. But in 1986, was he?
Oh, in 86, absolutely. Still in the business, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
So he's still working in the business. He's got two boys in the business.
Yeah.
You guys are out on the road. What's he doing? Is he looking at the bigger picture, or is he?
Yeah, look, we all, collaborated on that. We started forming a network and we travelled a lot.
Yeah.
Convincing people this was a good idea and to take it on.
Yeah. And the types of people you're targeting, were they that already in certain trades and stuff, or you?
We, for a while there, we had one national brand of automobiles.
Yep.
So a franchise around New Zealand, and they took it on. We had about 15 to 20 of those branches around New Zealand.
Wow.
But incredibly difficult to tell a large franchise how to do it.
Yeah.
Keep them trained. It was an add-on for them.
Yeah.
And we decided at some stage, I can't remember exactly when, that the few dedicated people we had around New Zealand did more than the 15 or 20 agents we had in the automotive franchise. So we took the bold move of sending out a letter via the post.
As you do.
Terminating those arrangements.
Yeah.
Which didn't go down too well with them, but we filled those gaps with more independent people, owner-operators. Still wasn't franchised at that point.
Yeah.
And we just grew from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when did you look at the opportunity to franchise? What was the?
Novus went into franchising about 1991.
That would have been relatively new in New Zealand, franchising then?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, we had some franchise advisors that are still in the industry today come to us to study not so much our contracts, but how we were going to implement it and what were the pitfalls, what were the advantages.
So was Novus international franchising at that stage? So that IP came across to New Zealand, but obviously you had different rules.
We had the luxury of the contracts were already done, the philosophy behind it, how to do it. Yeah. So, and
then obviously you get a group of people together, and the volume, and then I guess the noise in the marketplace. So you can do more, be seen more. From a marketing perspective, what started to happen there? I know we talked about this around TV. You had a choice to make.
Well, we were marketing via the radio up until, which we still are today, but up until about late 90s, early 2000. It wasn't until that stage that we decided we would put a television ad together.
Yep.
So the network was paying a fee per month,
Yep,
based on dollar value that they turned over. And because it was a percentage on dollar value, it fluctuated greatly.
Yeah.
So we couldn't really book out long term 6 months or a year in advance as to how we were going to spend it. We didn't know what we were going to collect. So we put a system in, we're going to collect X off the network, and we translated that back into population. So if you had a territory with 300,000 people, you paid X per month regardless of your turnover. We had a few squawks and moans in the network, but it enabled us to advertise on television.
Yeah.
And we took 3 of the network that had never done more than $6,000 a month. Within 3 months, they were all doing in excess of 25,000.
Wow. That's huge growth. That's like tripling your... Yeah.
Absolutely. Quadrupling.
Yeah.
So the television ads we started, again, it was a ma and pa thing. We used Mum's car, Patricia, Mount Pleasant, Mitsubishi Mirage.
Yep.
The cameraman, who was a one-man band, lay on the middle of the road. This was before our health and safety.
Yeah, obviously way before health and safety.
With his camera. He had a stone in front of his camera on the road, and Mum drove down the road. Brilliant. 2 or 3 times. And the last time she drove down, she actually clipped the stone, which ricocheted into the camera and broke the lens. So perfect.
I'm pretty sure he was perfect. That's outstanding.
Yeah, we couldn't have done it if we were trying to. And we finally got that ad together. Went to TV. We thought, and by this stage we'd moved into a workshop in Cashel Street. Tim, Dad, and I still.
Oh yeah.
Tim and I turned up on Monday morning because we thought the ad was playing on TV on Sunday. Hugely disappointed that there were no cars waiting for us. Tuesday we turned up, might have been a few minutes late, and there was a queue of cars.
Wow.
In the car parks and a few on the road waiting for us.
Really?
That's how dramatic it was.
That's how quickly and that was your mum's ad, the one with the wow.
Yes. Yeah.
And I remember we talked about, you had a decision make. There was only really one TV channel to go on, so you're on.
So TV1, TV2.
Yeah, that was your choice back in the day, wasn't it?
It was the choice.
Yeah.
TV1 more sport, and was a bit more price competitive than TV2.
Yeah.
Which had all your drama shows on and wasn't really our market.
Yeah.
So TV1 for a long, long time. That's all we had. Until you look at it today, the proliferation of TV channels and digital, and young people don't even have normal TV.
No, it's all changed, right? And it's changed quite quickly, obviously, from that when you first only had one channel, 91 or whatever it was. Yeah. So the volume, but it just shows you that all of a sudden that message got out in front of people, right? And so to some degree, were you kind of educating, because people would have had a crack there, they just didn't know where to get it fixed. So you educated them, hey, we're a service that can do that, and there would have been people turning up going, well, how do you do it? What's the cost? Because you don't explain that in your ads.
No, I mean those first ads were purely pictorial. This is what we do.
Yeah.
And this is our name.
Yeah.
And then of course we progressed slightly, a few years later when the Shasha Crack jingle appeared, and that was one of our Auckland franchisees, Hans and Galen DeLu.
Yeah.
They were advertising on radio themselves, very proactive franchisees, and they had an ad made for them by the station that they were dealing with, which was the Shasha Crack ad.
Brilliant.
We were a bit tentative about it when we heard it.
Yeah.
We thought we'll roll this out slowly. Try a few markets.
Yeah.
So we tried it on radio. People loved it, laughed at it, and then we put that into a TV ad, which we shot in our workshop with Tim and I and 2 ex-staff members.
Yeah.
We sang and we danced and we smiled.
Yeah.
People laughed at us, but it was the beginning of the branding where we're a wee bit cheeky, fun, and that's when and then further on we started putting the messages in of safety.
Yeah.
We don't just want to be the funny guys.
Yeah.
But it got us noticed, and it enabled us to further that brand with choose us because we're telling you about the safety of your windscreen, and showing that we care, not, and that's what we continue today.
Yeah. It was interesting, I remember the first time I met you, I was like, hey, that's the guy. That's the guy from the ads, right? And yeah, I thought that was quite cool. But it definitely polarized and got people, talking about the brand, and Shell She Cracks become a kind of a cult figure. And I know from when we do the social media, every time we bring back the crack, people love seeing the ad. You always get a ton of comments on it. I know you get a bit of fan mail from it though. Like people love sending you letters and saying you shouldn't be running that sort of advertising today.
We get about, in the last few years we haven't had a complaint. Initially we got 1 or 2 or 3 a year. They tended not to be Kiwis.
Yeah.
Which is testament to the New Zealand psyche, a bit more laid back, a bit cheeky themselves, like a laugh.
Yeah.
Don't take ourselves too seriously.
And I think that's what people resonate with the brand too. You don't take yourself too seriously. Obviously, some of the marketing messages we get across today is obviously the fun is part of it, but definitely, safety. Safety first was a huge one. I remember the first time we talked about and you explained, in New Zealand, the laws are a little bit strange where someone can come along, anyone can replace a windscreen, but you can't repair one. But if you in a crash or in anything, your integrity of your roof, 70% of that is based off your windscreen.
Exactly.
So why would you want me replacing that? It's just it seems draconian to some degree that we still have laws like that.
Or lack of.
Yeah, lack of.
Yeah. That's right. So for every repair, we have to issue a certificate of compliance which says that repair was carried out by someone that was trained. And our equipment and products like the resins have been tested, which they have, British Standards Institute, Patzig Laboratory in the States, and we pass all those tests. But if we replace that windscreen, you get a warrant immediately. They don't ask you how you stuck it in, which adhesive, whether that adhesive is certified or meets the federal crash tests, which there are a lot that don't in New Zealand. And so on.
Yeah, how crazy. And obviously, I know talking to the team, we definitely position locally owned and operated, very proud locally owned and operated to be in the community, a lot of the Novus franchisees. And obviously now with the theme of recycling coming in and trees that count, you've partnered with Trees That Count, and it's pretty awesome to see, even on Sunday, being down there at Alton Bradley Park, the amount of people that are really, behind it. And I think, so tell us a little bit more about why you wanted to get involved in that.
Well, firstly, just on the network, we are all individually owned and operated, so they're all locals in the community. It just carries on that, as Mum and Dad started our business, and Tim and I run it now with our 4 sons in the business. That we have family values, and every one of our locations is owned. The owner will be in there.
Nice.
Opening the doors, closing the doors, dealing with their staff and keeping everything moving. So getting back to the Trees That Count, we looked long and hard for a cause or a charity to support. And we make donations to some charities just like any other company probably does. But we wanted a long-term partnership. And first thing is that windscreens are reasonably unexciting, put it politely. So a differentiator, something good for the the environment.
Yeah.
Trees. It's very topical. Something that resonates with the younger generation. It resonates with a broad spectrum of people. People love it.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Orton Bradley, and people were asking us why a windscreen company would be planting 5,000 trees and more, going forward. And it's just we're immensely proud of that. It's a legacy that we'll leave behind.
Yeah.
Something beautiful, great for everybody, can be enjoyed by everybody. And you can step back and see what you've done.
Yeah.
Drive past areas like that in 10 or 15 or 20 years, and we can say we did that.
Yeah. I was talking to my son about that, where he wanted to name a few of the ones, so you come up with some weird names. But I said, in times to come, we'll come back here and we'll see those, those trees and stuff. And he thought that was really cool, like you're actually doing something. So, that was, you can give money, you can give time, and you can do both. And it was really cool to see that. So I think we're up to over 5,840 odd trees now.
Yes,
and growing, which is awesome, right? It's it's definitely, I think I see a lot more people doing it now since you guys have started being involved in that, and it's Trees That Count have really starting to get some people behind them, which is great.
Yeah, and that just shows you the power of advertising.
Yeah.
We're thrilled that other companies are wanting to get involved, and it's fantastic. Bigger companies than us, and that's great. The more we can all do, and encourage other companies to get on board, the better for everybody.
Yeah,
consumers should choose those companies and support those companies.
Yeah. Totally, especially at the impact when you see, turn up there on Sunday and there's probably nearly 200 people there, passionate about, about the environment. A lot of people do this all the time. And the guy said, we're going to probably plant 7,000 trees today. And I went, Jesus, that's a lot, right?
Yeah.
But when you see what we did and where we planted them, you can see how they will make a real good impact around those areas. And in years to come, as I said before, it's going to be a great looking area, So definitely companies, people or consumers should get behind those companies that are and I know, Sasha and the whole campaign that's been put together, the chip in with Novus, it's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, Sasha did a fantastic job of presenting that to us.
Yeah.
And has put a lot of work into organising it, keeping it going, and fantastic job.
I think it's something that everyone in your whole network can be proud of, right? And I think,
a lot of staff turned up, a lot of family turned up, diverse range of the population turned up. It was great. There's families, there's all sorts. So.
Yeah. Very,
awesome.
Very cool. It's good that you waited that long, you took your time to get the I know we've had discussions with you and Murray about, some charities over the years and you've definitely chosen the right one there. So it's exciting times. Hey, what's it like, and what's it like having your boys working with you? Like, I know a lot of, obviously you've carried, you worked with your dad, and then it's, must be quite proud in some ways. I know the boys, they definitely have your character, some more than others too. But they were there in the weekend. You can tell they're definitely proud of the brand. And what's it like having your sons work for you?
Yeah, look, it's carrying on that family business structure. They're all great young men. It's got its pros and cons in a family business. So, to start with, it was mum and dad, then there was Tim and I, and now there's 4 more, and they're strong-minded young men.
Yeah.
In fact, we're looking to restructure the business slightly to give them a better mentor, an independent mentor, that they will go to a GM rather than to dad.
Yep. You think like part of that is because the business has got so big, like there's a lot of people involved now, right? It's not just a small business; it's a pretty significant player.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's something that Tim and I recognised. It's not the business that it's not the same business as when we started.
Yeah,
jump in your car, disappear for the day, and eat what you kill. You know, it is a proper business, we say now, and deserves to be treated as such.
Yeah. Is part of that driven also by the technology? Technology is changing a lot in cars. So, you know, you need the investment there as well to be able to do all that sort of stuff, right? To do it right.
Yeah, look, ADAS, Advanced Driver Assistance Systems, all the cameras, your lane departure, your crash avoidance, autonomous braking, they all sit in cameras, lasers, LiDARs, placed on the windscreen. So when we replace a windscreen, we then have to recalibrate the car's computer, or monitor that the vehicle does recalibrate itself. And that's something that Tim and I at a large automotive show in Frankfurt back in 2017 when ADAS was really just coming available or coming on stream. And we chose a company out of Italy called Texa. And recalibration is all they do. They've been great to deal with, state-of-the-art technology and equipment. We import that directly and we train all our network. We've got a training course going on today with 4 or 5 people from around New Zealand to keep them up to date with it. And that's imperative that that's done correctly. A vehicle uncalibrated or recalibrated incorrectly could stop well before a car or well past a car, which means it's crashed. Or they just won't do what they're designed to do. And again, warranty fitness people are not testing that.
So you make sure you've got to make sure that every windscreen that you're dealing with is fully tested. One thing I think it's really cool that you do that. And look, if you go down to the one that you guys run, the boys are in there. You know, the boys are obviously, you know, they're doing the whacking and the cracking. They're very well trained. But one thing I love what you said one day. There was training going on, and your receptionists were all in there doing the training, and I thought that's brilliant. Like they actually know how to change or how to repair a windscreen. Like, you know, so the people that are coming in, they actually know what they're talking about.
And that's imperative. People very quickly identify whether the person they're talking to knows what they're talking about. And to be fair to those frontline staff, you have to give them the equipment to deal with customers correctly, and that's the knowledge. So that they understand what they are actually talking about.
And it's interesting too, like just with windscreens, like you showed me something one day around how the different colours and a little symbol can mean being soundproof and stuff like that. And like to a normal person, no idea. Until you told me. You know?
And that's just the ID in the screen. So that's the bug, what we call the bug on the windscreen. Tells us whether it's an acoustic windscreen. All sorts of things in there, you know, what sensors, on and on and on.
Where do you see, like, obviously, some of the challenges for you and Tim, you know, as the business is growing, and now looking to bring on a general manager, the challenges, will you be able to step away? Like, do you feel like, are you looking for other opportunities? Because, you know, you're an action-taking person with a bias for action. Will you just sit still?
No. We've been at it too long and it's in our blood. And we talk about this. Are we going to be able to step aside? And I think, to be fair to the incoming GM, whoever that would be, we have to give them what we expect and then let them get on with it. But we'll still be involved in, we've got plans for growth, buildings, and we still want to look at the marketing side of it. Obviously, we'll have regular meetings with the GM, but we won't interfere. That wouldn't be fair to anyone.
Definitely. It's but you know, when it's been that long, you know, sometimes it's not that easy, right?
No.
One thing I'm talking to a lot of businesses at the moment, you know, high inflation, you know, record unemployment, you know, interest rates going up. How's that affecting your businesses and more? What are you hearing from your network as well?
We're one of the lucky industries in that, you know, we're classified as a grudge purchase. You only get involved with us when you've got either a stone chip or you need a new windscreen or a side glass.
Yeah.
You don't win lotto and go and buy a windscreen.
No.
So through the tough times and the good times, we're fairly stable.
Yep.
Obviously, in the good times, people travel a bit more on the roads.
Yep.
But we don't go up and down. We don't have sales or specials, things like that. So
supply chain though?
Supply chain, again, we're very lucky. We've got great partners in China mainly. That's where most of the glass is made. Most of the windscreens are made around the world. So no, they're very strong. We've got, as I say, great partners there.
I think I like one thing you're doing there as well is around the windscreen and looking for ways to recycle it better. You've been a pioneer in that area. Let's talk a little bit more about that. Like, I think it's good for people to know that what you guys are doing there. Yeah,
it was around the year 2010. We started seriously looking at recycling windscreens. Canterbury is very expensive for landfill, which was where windscreens were going. And the council was tightening up whether they would take windscreens for the landfill or not. And it was about that time, thanks to the internet, we were looking at importing a machine that it's actually just called a pulverizer, pulverize the laminated windscreen so that the glass and the plastic middle layer were separated. We didn't know what we'd do with either once we had them. And a chap by the name of Chris Grant from 5R Solutions, who had started a recycling company, came to us, and he had imported the machine that we were looking at, and so we were able to send our windscreens to him. He had avenues to sell the byproduct, which was the broken glass, into chip, into sand, for sand slitting, sports fields, bunkers, roading, all sorts. And thankfully, because in 2011 we lost 9,500 windscreens in our warehouse.
Oh yeah, true.
And we recycled all of those.
Yeah.
And we expanded that around the country, which is a large logistical project and expensive. With freight. It's almost the same to freight a damaged windscreen as it is a new windscreen.
Wow.
Yeah, so again, that's something dear to our heart, planting trees and recycling and just doing the right thing.
Yeah, because you see, companies, sometimes just not doing the right thing, though. But you guys have focused on doing the right thing. Was that like if you think about a little bit about mindset and that for a while, like is that something that your parents and installed in you, like to do the right thing? Like you if it costs you a little bit more, at least
I think back in the day, you bought quality. It's pretty much a throwaway age. We live in now. Look at TVs, laptops, phones. So probably by default they're instilled to do the right thing in us. And it is important to us, and it's something that our staff, employees appreciate, feel good about. And if they feel good about it, it's a great place to work, and they do the right thing for our customers.
They definitely have a good. I just know from the branch in Horsell there, like in Hayton Road, there's a good culture there, right? It's really very team focused and very very friendly, even from all the people in there. Is that something that you've worked on, like as a business owner? Like, what do you, when you go to work, do you see yourself as the the motivator, the leader, or what's your sort of role? Like, given the fact that you've been in this industry since 1986, it's easy to fall out of love with what you do to some degree, but you seem to have quite a buzz for it,
I think if you peel it back, and we always say to our network when we have our conferences, is that we're in the service industry. Okay, windscreens are the product, but really we're in the service industry. There are lots of people that repair and replace windscreens, so we have to do it better. We have to educate our customers about safety. We have to go that little bit extra. And we just put in a new system of making sure we do that, which is checking on each other. We've vacuumed it, we've cleaned all the glass, going that bit extra.
Those little touches, eh?
Yeah, and it's part of the brand, and instilling in the staff what the brand stands for.
Yeah, NOVUS.
And there's the old adage, isn't it? You know, happy staff, happy customers.
Yeah.
So I can't see every customer. Tim can't see every customer, but our staff do. So they have to be invested in the brand.
Yeah, and you find, it's obviously happening, right? But you're always continuously looking to improve that as well.
I think you have to.
Yeah.
It was interesting. Tim and I attended a speaker a month or two ago, and he's a very bright person, CEO of a large company. He's turned that around, and his philosophy is based on that Japanese
Kaizen. Yeah.
And yes, we've implemented a couple of those principles and start talking about it. So try and improve something every day, something small, which gets people in the habit of we can do better.
Yeah, and also open up their eyes that, hey, you know, that one person that you're talking to could be the difference, right? You know, and you're right, in the service industry, I know Kane from Agaturbo, My New Start, we were talking about this, you know, great businesses are built on customer service. And it's an art that probably is a little bit forgotten by some companies these days. So focusing on that can be a big thing for a company.
Well, you spend a fair amount on advertising over the whole spectrum of where you can advertise. So you want to retain those customers that come to you. You want them to have a great experience, and we monitor that through our NPS scores. You know, we have a very high. The main factor I look at is would people recommend you and would they use you again?
Yeah.
And we're in the high 90% for both.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a huge score. One thing people might find interesting, but you as the you know, like the owner and you read all reviews.
Yeah.
You know? That's pretty cool, right? You're in touch with what's going on, and you can engage the level of what's going on in some branches. So you know some branches are struggling a little bit. You can see their reviews. You're on top of that a lot, right?
Yeah, we do it two ways. I mean, people post Google reviews themselves, and I follow those. I had a call from the owner in Taupo just as I was on my way here, and I quickly read the review where the person was disgruntled to find that once they took his windscreen out, there was rust, which he would incur a cost to have that rust fixed, and that we wouldn't put the windscreen in until the rust was fixed. And they'd rang me to say, how are you going to reply? And I said, well, I'll reply. I will educate that person that it is unsafe to put the windscreen in if it is rusty. People sell vehicles, and you should be able to know that the windscreen, the car that you're driving, the windscreen's going to hold up when it's needed to.
Yeah.
So we won't do anything if it's not safe, even if it means disgruntled customers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's, hey, look, you got to have your standards, right?
Absolutely.
And that's, good businesses have good standards that they're not prepared to go across, and that's, you are you're dealing with the public at the end of the day, and also keyboard warriors can say what they want until you really know the facts. But from you, what do you learn about the philosophy and the strength of your company, or the tone of your company when you're seeing those reviews? Some of those reviews that I read and see, you guys are doing some good stuff, right? You must be pretty proud of the network in a whole, Yeah,
absolutely. And it's testament to that the network have been asking us, when is the next conference? They want to get together. It's a very stable network. Yeah. They enjoy each other's company. They'd rather listen to themselves amongst their peers than Tim or I or any other speaker. It's lost my train there.
It's definitely a strong network, right? Like
Yeah.
they're kind of, you've basically created a bigger family.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, it is.
which is very cool.
Yeah.
Where do you see some of the opportunities in the future for the likes of yourself and Tim in different markets or in the same market? Where do you see opportunities?
I think you could take the model into other industries.
Yep.
Whether we do or not, I'm not too sure, but certainly the technology is the growth for the autoglass industry.
Yeah.
At the moment, we calibrate 20 in the low 20% of most vehicles that we replace the screens in, and that will grow 15 to 20% a year.
Wow.
Safer vehicles, but every vehicle will need, at the moment we have one large recalibration bay. We'll need to extend that to 2 or 3 at least.
Yeah.
So that's really, technology is really where it's headed. I mean, you're hearing bombarded with autonomous vehicles, self-driving vehicles.
Yeah, talk a wee bit about that.
Look, we follow it.
Yeah.
I think it'll be some way off before truly self-driving and autonomous vehicles are there. They will in some parts, if you're travelling 3 or 4 kilometres an hour on the motorway in Auckland.
Yeah.
Probably the car can do that. It will keep you in the lane, keep you not crashed into the car in front of you. That's fine. But when you have half the cars on the road with no technology, not speaking to the other cars, it's
that does interest me at some stage.
Yeah.
Look, and technology, and also I think consolidation starts to happen too, right? Because you got technology which maybe only some people can really afford to have, right? As far as some players will have more money to invest in that technology versus some of the other players, right? So you're going to have maybe consolidation of an industry.
Well, again, we look after our network from the point of view of information, what the future looks like. We structure, the cost of buying that technology or leasing that technology in a way that people can afford.
Yeah.
Because we need a network.
So that's the power of being in your network, though, right? Like economies of scale there straight away.
There's a lot of independence that no one's looking out for, and they live in a world where a lot of them where ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
Yeah, dangerous, but bliss.
Yeah. So if you need your windscreen calibrated, go to a NOVUS branch as soon as possible. Look, I find the whole technology space in most industries is causing disruption, but also that obviously brings opportunities. I'm going to completely flip this on its head now. If you had to start again tomorrow, and knowing what you know about business, what would you do and why? And you've got 5 minutes. And I'm going to keep asking you questions.
If I had to start again today.
Would you chase a passion? Like, I know, look, we've been fishing together and stuff like that. You love that sort of stuff? Or would you find a technology opportunity? What do you think you'd do?
Well, I love sales.
Yeah.
I love service. I love the service type industries. It's a simple recipe. Be happy, treat people like they're valuable, earn every customer and try and keep them.
Yeah. When you say earn every customer, what do you mean by that? Like,
invest in them from a point of view. It's not just about throwing money at advertising. That's easy.
Yeah.
But once they come in, you've got to realise, and I say this to all the staff, and at conference time, when people ring Novus, they have a problem.
Yeah.
They don't ring a windscreen autoglass company for a chat.
Yeah.
They're not looking at future prices or anything like that. They have a problem. They've either been broken into, a chipped or cracked windscreen, or they need a new one. So recognise that the person on the other end of the phone is probably slightly stressed.
Yeah.
They have a problem. So how are we going to fix that problem? That's our job.
Yeah.
How are we going to fix the problem? Is it school holidays? Are the kids at home? They can't get the car out. How are we going to work around that customer? it's not, this is who we are, this is what we do, and this is the box we sit in.
No.
It's how best can we help you?
What a great mindset to give people, because it would be really easy if you didn't, to have a lot of angry people, not only on the other end, but also your staff would get. You actually, you're giving them a tool to actually deal with. So earn them. I like that. You know, like it's, earn their respect by actually making them feel understood.
Yeah, well, it goes back to, the things you prize the most are the things you had to earn. Yeah. Saved up for and earned.
Yeah, true. Always.
Free stuff is, free stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. I know my son, he had to earn his Nintendo Switch. Yeah. And he proudly tells people, I bought that with my own money. That's versus someone who got it, right? Just got given it. So it's so true. So you'd be in service, you'd be in sales, and you'd own a fishing charter. I reckon there's a couple of opportunities up there that you could dominate that industry with a bit of sales and a bit of service.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
Love fishing.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure about that.
Not sure about that?
Not sure.
Biggest fish you've caught?
Biggest fish I've caught was kingfish.
Nice.
Not the biggest kingfish on the trip, Scott.
No.
Yeah.
No. But it was a solid looking fish.
Yeah.
Hey Mike, it's been a pleasure to talk to you today, and I really, as someone who gets to work with you and work with the team at Novus, we feel very privileged to be part of, playing a small part in helping you guys. It's great to see the business develop and grow over the years and innovate. I think that's one of the coolest things as well, and it's been awesome to get to know your lads as well, which that's pretty cool. And you're right, they're very good young men who will see the business through, if they choose to, in good stead. So it's pretty special. So appreciate your time. I know you're a busy man, so thanks for being on the podcast, and I look forward to having you back again when we're around 20,000 trees. I think it will be a good time to have you back.
Oh well. Tell the consumers, keep using us.
Yeah, keep using us. Yeah, for every repair. And do we do it on replacement as well now?
It's every job.
Every job. So it's real clear. Go to Novus if you got a crack or you need a repair or a replacement, and we plant a tree. So, and if you want to come along, join the Facebook page with Novus. Search Novus on Facebook. If you ever want to come along to an event where we plant trees, next time there could be at least 10,000 trees getting planted. So we'll definitely need a few more people to help out with that. So appreciate your time, Mike.
No, thanks, Scott. Pleasure.
Hi, Scolson here again. Hey, thanks for listening to the Marketing for Business podcast. Hey, we're on a mission to share these episodes with more business people, so please feel free to share the podcast. Head over to our website, www.getdigitalinfluence.com for more episodes, and we really appreciate you listening. Thanks for your time and have a great day.